When did it all start? Back when my grandmother died. And you might be wondering to yourself, how did she die? Well, a very common disease known as old age. And this is where my story begins. Very underwhelming. Hello, ya potheads. So, let's talk about death in media. After watching Supernatural and also playing video games all my life and watching stuff all my life and really just thinking about it on like how bad being able to write character deaths affect a story. Not even just the death of a character but just like writing a character off a show or movie or video game series, and just how to deal with making that worth it. Character deaths can either improve on a series or hurt the series. I feel like that goes without saying. Like, that's pretty clear cut. Like, you don't want to see a character die, or you do want to see a certain character die, and if the character's end, one way or the other, is not good, if it doesn't make you feel good, even in a bittersweet way, like, it's not gonna make you feel good. Like, no death, or it might make you feel really good depending on if it's a villain or whatever. But if you don't get the reaction of it being a good way for this arc to complete, then it's a waste. I know I jumbled a lot right there, but what I'm saying, characters' end needs true resolve. Spoiler alert for, I'm talking about character deaths. How do I not? How? So if I bring up a series that you are not wanting to watch, I'm gonna try not to bring anything up that is recent. So if I bring something up that's made 20 years ago, it's your fault for not watching that at this point. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Let's talk about a series, a long-running show that does deaths and endings just awful. Now, Supernatural is a great show. It does a lot of good lead-ups and a lot of good characterizations, and even if you were supposed to hate the character, you still kind of like the character. But how they do deaths and endings are more often than not just plain awful. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending of the show, and I haven't even seen the ending yet, but I know what happens, and it's not great. Just saying. But a lot of seasons are like that. Let's talk about season 5. I think it's 5, right? Where two big characters, die for a cause, and to get Sam and Dean to a point, and then they do the thing that they're supposed to do, and it doesn't work. Not only it doesn't work, it changes fucking nothing. All these characters died for was for killing some hellhounds, which I'm pretty sure Hell has plenty of hellhounds. They have plenty of those. So killing off two major characters and sacrificing themselves so then Sam could do the job, and it just literally nothing happens. They might have learned something, like the cult doesn't work on gods apparently, but other than that, like, it gives you such blue balls just so they can carry the series more. Or another character in season 7, which I'm trying so fucking hard not to spoil it, but his major death was getting shot by a stray bullet. After dealing with demons and angels and all these different things, and what kills you is a stray bullet? Like, that's not satisfying. Like, what they did afterwards with, like, Reapers and, like, self resolution was actually pretty good. Like, I was fine with that. How he got to that point was unsatisfying and stupid. I shouldn't, and this goes for anything, I shouldn't have to look at my TV and be like, well, that was fucking stupid. Like, that's anger, pure anger out of a writing sense is not the emotion that you want to get out of somebody. I should be angry at a character. I should be sad for a character. Like, the negative emotions negative emotions that you feel should be because you're immersed in the series. And you care for what is happening. And when something doesn't go your way, or like the character's way, or, you know, there's a bittersweet ending, or something, even if something happy is ending, but it's like you're so emotional that you start to cry. Like, that shit is good. But when I'm looking at a series and I'm like, man, the writer sucked on this one. Like, I immediately pulled out. It's like, why did they do it that way? Should not be a thing, I think. And I'm not saying don't kill off characters. I'm not saying don't have sadness. Obviously, I'm advocating to make me fucking cry. Having a satisfying end to a character is not gonna make me have the emotional impact that I should. Like a good character death, even though it's super upsetting, Jiraiya from Naruto. Gonna spoil that one because that was forever ago. Granted, so was Supernatural, so... But I'm just watching Supernatural, alright? So, it feels not as recent, but... Or it feels more whatever, fuck you. Jiraiya, not, like, had a resolve to his story, but, like, yeah, it didn't feel like his life should have ended there, but his story came full circle. There was a history with pain, like the character pain, and also he felt a lot of pain. And not only that, but it got Naruto to a different place, and he still was able to give information out to the Leaf, and they were able to counteract and fight against the Akatsuki because of his death. And his death was still emotional, and in a way where it's like, okay, like, he tried his hardest, and it affected the world around him, and now we see how powerful this guy is. So it shows us, like, when, you know, he attacks the village later, that, like, you know that he is powerful and that this can happen. And it makes Naruto's triumph even that bigger because Naruto beat the person who defeated his master, bringing Naruto that much closer to, you know, having more power, but like showing off that he is more powerful now than he was before. So that character's death had purpose, it had a ripple effect, and his story was resolved. There's nowhere else his story could have gone. Same thing with Cowboy Bebop. Spoilers. The ending of Cowboy Bebop has Spike dying. Like no one wants that to happen. You fall in love with these characters for them to just go away. But his story resolves. Not only does he get shit done when he does this, it comes full circle when he finally gets what he needed to accomplish at the sacrifice of himself. Like the examples I gave, it needs to have purpose. It needs to have a ripple effect. It needs to conclude a story. When you don't have any good lead up to the event that is happening, and it just comes out of nowhere, then it's not satisfying, and you leave more mad than anything. Like, yeah, people could argue all the time, which people do. It's like, well, that's not how the real world works. Sometimes shit just happens. It's like, yeah, but we're not watching a goddamn movie series or playing a video game to have real life effects. Like, that's kind of defeats the entire fucking point of the media. You want to watch something that is compelling and gives you a sense of accomplishment, gives you that dopamine hit. So something that's sad could be good, but it could also be bad. Now, an adventure doesn't hold weight if there's not tragedy, even in the most simplest in the most simple sense. Like, even Mario. Like, you got super colorful, like, kid-friendly. Anybody can enjoy a good Mario game. It's, fun and colorful. And, characters are cute. And, you're jumping and you're murdering. You still have Bowser, who is trying to wreck shop, and he's taking the princess. That is a form of tragedy, even in the most kid sense. Like, you're not gonna be heartbroken over it, and you know how this game is gonna end. But that is something for the character to go towards, and it is tragic that like in Mario Galaxy, the entire castle gets taken away. You gotta help these fairies in Super Mario 3D World, because Bowser's trying to use them for whatever, or wherever it may be. There is still tragedy and there is conflict. So a good story needs that, because otherwise, like, even rom-coms understand this. Like, even though rom-coms the most boring, drivel, formulaic crap type content out there, they still understand this concept. There always has to be, like, two people fall in love, but then something adds friction to make them not fall in love anymore. But then they clear up that understanding and you get that happy ending. Like, that friction is what makes that conflict, which makes a more compelling story, opposed to, yeah, these people just living happy lives. Cool. Like, no, I'm not watching a documentary on something depressing or something happy. I'm watching a story unfold about these characters that great things happened either by their doing or around them. You just have to do it correctly. A Comic Good Kill is nothing but bad deaths, and it made me hate the entire series. The animation was fantastic, the fighting scenes are great, but the fact that they kill off characters left to right to try to make you feel impact, because, oh man, your main character is getting connected to this character, they're gonna die off, because, like, at the first two, you're like, oh shit, that sucks. But then you start seeing the pattern. You're like, oh, this one's starting to like the main character. That one's dead. All right. Oh, now we're just gonna see how they die, and it completely rips you out of the series. If we're gonna jump into video games, Last of Us 2 was a very polarizing title, and one big reason for that was Joel's death. And I don't think it's the fact that he died. You killed off a fantastic, a character that you play through an entire game of, and then the start of the next one, like, the entire motivation for Ellie going out and doing what she's gonna do is because of him dying. And people felt like that was squandered. Like, that could have been a good hook if Joel went out in a better way. Like, yeah, the connection of, like, why it happened is 100% there. Like, I get it. I get where it's coming from. But how easily he was taken out after everything that he's done made people feel empty. There was no resolve to his character. It was just sad, and he got taken over in such a lame way. Like, yeah, I know Last of Us is supposed to be outside of the whole, like, zombie apocalypse. I know they're not zombies, but if everybody's giving special titles to these things that are just a new form of undead, they're fucking zombies. I don't give a shit about specific titles. I'm calling them zombies. Outside of the, like, the zombie apocalypse thing, this is like if a zombie apocalypse happened in the real world. So, like, yeah, real shit happens. But again, we're still watching this story unfold. And then talking about resolve, writing characters off, or whatever, that's my biggest gripe about the story of Last of Us 2, is that we don't feel like the story got resolved. We go on this entire venture, and for the ending to just completely change, and, Ellie ruins her entire life for a task that she didn't even complete because she changed her mind last minute. That's shit. That's actual shit. It doesn't give you, like, the gameplay is great, but the story around it isn't great. Also, another gripe is that you play as a character that they made you hate. Like, they know that they made you hate for half the game. I don't know why they thought that was a good choice. Naughty Dog, like, I get you're trying to go dark, but, like I sped run. I tried speed, because I didn't know it was going to be half the game. So I sped run, like, half of her segment before I realized I'm going to be playing the rest of the game as this. Or like up to 90% of the game like this now. Now I'm gonna go slow because I did not want to play as her, and that took me out of the game as I kept on playing as her. I finished the game, and that's why I've been able to talk about it, and this is like the one time I'm able to talk about it. Yeah, I didn't like how they did that. Like, I was expecting to play as Ellie the entire time, but no, I had to play a character that they made me hate, and they tried to make me feel sympathetic for, but it didn't work. If you haven't realized, these topics are more so like I have outlines and I just talk around them and trying to get my point across. And that point being that if you're gonna write a character out, either having them go somewhere or having them die, you need to do that very, very carefully, because if their character arc doesn't feel complete, if their story is not resolved, or if it doesn't feel like a natural conclusion to what they're doing, if even their personal story is not resolved, at least there's like, oh, but he found out where his father is, and we're running him off the show because he's going to go and try to find him. Okay. You know what? Even though his arc is not complete, still gives the character purpose. Just hitting the delete button on the character because you felt like that would be emotional isn't the way to do it. And all this could go with villains on the opposite end of the spectrum. You need being able to take out a character that people don't like in a satisfying way, or having that character at least change for the better in a way that is satisfying, needs to be done as well, because that could also be just as easily fucked up as a good character's death. Tabletop RPGs is a little bit different with that, but there's a way to do it, and there's a way to do it good. Don't give your players plot armor, but just do it good. And that's where I'm gonna end this off. I'd like to thank you all for watching. All the social medias are down below. Still working on my other projects, as you know, or don't know. I don't really know. And till next time, bye.